Welcome back to the Today with Tally podcast. Welcome back to the Today with Tally podcast, folks. We have a great show in store for you today. We sit down with a fourth generation Texan, and we hear his story of survival, perseverance, and resilience through music. But first,
hello, friends, and welcome to another exciting episode of Today with Tally. The mission and goal of this podcast is to bring an engaging conversation that will add value to the lives of everyday people. We will inspire, encourage, educate, and tell the stories of America's finest men and women in an effort to motivate you to live your life to its fullest potential. Be sure to follow us on social media and search Today with Tally. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and share the program as well. Ladies and gentlemen, your host of the evening, Mr. Brian Tally.
Now, Tucker Hart is our next guest, but let me set this up here. Now, what Tucker does, he creates Western folk music, continuing in the songwriting and storytelling of his traditions of his youth. Now, he had a life-changing heart attack and the onset of a debilitating neurological problem beginning in 2011. He began to pursue healing through songwriting and music. Tucker was recently diagnosed with hereditary spastic paraplegia and will continue to adapt and overcome to the challenges lying ahead of him. Now, Tucker's journey of self-mending through storytelling music generated the road to recovery for this League City native. In 2020, he released his first album, Light a Candle. His delivery of classic folk storytelling through a contemporary lens, now he devotes countless of hours to support life enrichment programs at nursing homes and assisted living facilities in Galveston County through free live shows. He also donates 100% of anything made off his YouTube channel to help nursing homes as well. Tucker Hart is the co-founder, along with his wife Rachel, of the League City Folk Association, a free, family-friendly community concert held every month at League City Park in League City, with 15 or more musical performances and an incredible audience. Now, Tucker Hart's music has been enjoyed all over the world with listeners in Europe, Asia, Africa, North and South America, and Australia. Tucker's music can be found on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, YouTube, and other major streaming platforms. With that, we're honored to be joined by Tucker himself. How are you?
Hey. Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. You know, when I heard you live, you know, there's so many folks that you can go to a concert live, and you're like, man, it doesn't really sound like when I'm listening to them on, you know, on Spotify or in my truck or on that old CD, right?
Right.
Yeah, they sound so much cleaner when you're listening to them, you know, on these apps. But you in person, the ghost of Johnny Cash, a lot of folks like to say. I mean, look,
yeah,
you throw it down live, but I know that's not an easy thing to do, man.
Well, it's a massive joy to be able to go out and play these old, beautiful songs that I don't think get enough airtime live for people. And so I've just kind of made it my mission to incorporate these beautiful classic country and Western songs and playing them for people who I know would enjoy them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Now, you spend a lot of your time. I mean, you give back to the community, and really, you just like to go out and help people. You go to a lot of nursing homes. You play in a lot of local bars. You're always out there sharing. That soul, if you will. You know, music touches people in ways that can help people in their own life's journeys and their own challenges. What inspired you to begin doing things like that?
Well, it goes back to we used to go to church, and we would play for these nursing homes in Christmas, and I mean, it sounded awful, man. It was just like a bag of cats fighting, and it's just the joy that these residents showed to us, these kids who are just trying to stumble through these Christmas songs, really inspired me, and just got me thinking through for the rest of my life. I was probably 14 at that time. Just how much that little moment meant for them. And then I wanted to see how to start giving back to them and being more involved. And so I started playing these free nursing home shows. And I started this February 20th of 2020 was the first time I played out anywhere live, and that was at Old Quarter, and played some of my original tunes there. And then we got into lockdown, and I thought, well, that's kind of a short-lived, it was just like a week or two later. But John Prine has a wonderful song called Hello in there. And it was the first song that really taught me that music can impact the soul. And so in his beautiful words, I decided, I'll say hello in there myself. And I started free Zoom call shows for these nursing homes until we can get back to seeing each other again. And I've been going out from there.
What type of feedback have you gotten from these folks in these nursing homes?
Man, it's so incredible. Just the love and joy and seeing them every month. It's just been, I play a lot of shows, man, but going out to these facilities, and especially when a resident's nonverbal, they're deep in dementia, and you just start singing these old songs and they look up, and for those 3 minutes, it's their reality is back and they're singing along. And man, every time it's like I'm on the verge of tears. Like, don't cry, man. It's just such a beautiful thing to see the power of music take form in that way. That just for 3 minutes at a time, this little clarity had been brought back from their youth, and they're singing along, and you could just see the light in their eyes, and it really, really touches me.
Yeah, and you do engage with your crowd in a very unique way. I mean, you're easy to support. Very.
Well, thanks.
you make it really easy. I know when I saw you in person, one thing stood out aside from your beautiful music. I mean, you, like Johnny Cash, John Prine, you sound a lot like these legends, and it's just, it could be that you're a fourth generation Texan and you're a folk player. I mean, you guys,
right.
you sound great, and of course, we all have mentors and, genres that we like, but I noticed something about you immediately. I went through a very hard time in my life in January of 2016. I would end up on a walker and in a wheelchair for years. And my life took a change for the worse. And I didn't think I'd ever make it out of it alive. And I noticed you went on stage, you had a walker, and then you went on with a one-armed crutch. And you are living in this disability right now, which makes it even more difficult for you to go out and perform and do what you do on a daily basis. Could you explain what happened during this whole entire life-changing debacle with Tucker Hart?
In 2011, I was a store manager for a big retail chain, and I was going to go out to lunch and noticed a great customer of ours. So I always stopped to say hello to our regulars. And I was heading out to the car. And I was like, man, my arm kind of feels a little weird. And I started feeling really sick. And I thought, man, that's just, I'm working so many hours. And then I'm just going to go take a quick nap. And little did I know it was almost my last nap. We found out that I was having a heart attack, but what I didn't know is I had strep hit my brain at the same time. And so we got to the hospital, and I started losing the ability to walk and having multiple seizures. Went from walking all right to a cane to a 4-point walker to a wheelchair. And my wife had to change me and feed me. And she's been my rock through all of this. So things just got worse and worse. And what I didn't know is I also had a condition called hereditary spastic paraplegia, which is a genetic disease. It's a neurodegenerative disease, which means they can't stop it or slow it down. It's just going to get progressively worse. But improvise, adapt, and overcome. It's a great motto from the Marines. So, hey, if it works for y'all, then it's definitely going to work for me. So, yeah, I mean, I just push forward. That's you have setbacks, of course, but in the broader scale and perspective of life, people have it way harder than I do, and I'm just really blessed to be able to go out there and play some songs for folks.
It's amazing. I know when we sat down, we realized we had a lot in common.
Yeah.
You got done and I came over there and I introduced myself to you and we had a good conversation over there in the corner for a while. Mm-hmm. And, it's weird. Today's April 30th. Today is the actual day that a private surgeon opened me up in 2016 and found this bone-eating staph infection that was aggressively eating me alive from the inside out for over 4 months. And it just happens to be on the same time I'm talking to you about, your injuries and, what puts you on your road to recovery. Like you said, we both have these disabilities now that are progressively just getting worse. And we have to continue to fight through them, and do the hard work, folks. It would be so easy for us to be over 300 pounds and live a life of anxiety and depression and all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, I did for years, but we had to both pick ourselves up and know, hey, look, we got a family, we've got children, we've got to be the example, and we want to live a good life. And the only way to do that is to kind of remove that victim from our life and, begin to live a little. And that's what I've been doing over the last couple of years. And I tell you, it's been a big blessing to me to push myself into uncomfortable situations to make myself a better man. Would you agree?
Absolutely. There's so much strength to be found in difficulty, and what you can teach your children about loving people who are going through things you might not know. But it's been some extremely valuable life lessons I never thought I'd have a chance to learn. I was plugging along. We had a great house, 2 cars. I was providing all the money we needed for the family. And then that was shut down. Lost the house, lost the cars, had to move in with my mother-in-law. Thankfully, she was open to the idea of loving us so much that we could move in with her, which we're trying to get things sorted out. Man, things just kept spiraling down. And, you think you hit rock bottom, but then you find a way to dig a little deeper. It's just like, that was just one layer. But, there are lessons. There are some profound lessons that you can learn. I think only difficulty in life teaches you.
Absolutely. 100%. When we were going through our struggles, nothing would go right. It would just keep, all that bad news for everything, the loss, the credit card debt, my physical health, us losing our rental home and our family vehicles and my truck and my business and all that stuff. It all just seemed to just start to spiral out of control. And it began to compound like interest. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, Lord, are we ever going to get out of this nightmare? Man. And everyone's like, oh, storms don't last forever. And I'm like, it's been 5 years.
Yeah, right.
Don't tell me about the storm making it last forever. And then all of a sudden one day the seas parted, the sun came back out, and we began to live again. And I know that's, very similar. It's just crazy. Yeah. The amount of commonalities, that you have with somebody, until you sit down and really start to divulge into, what they've been through, and how you can inspire others. And you sing, you speak directly to people. And I've had a lot of singer-songwriters on this show because I think it's so important, especially for people that are going through a lot of these, life challenges and these obstacles in life. Music can speak directly to you. It's almost like a pastor at a church. You may not be at church for a year. You'll go one day and you're like, has this dude been spying on me for the last? Right. He's talking directly to me, and that's what I get from a lot of singer-songwriters.
Mm.
And you, of course, being one of them too, but it's just not what you're telling me. It's the memories.
Mm.
It's the memories of those old Johnny Cash songs that are now coming alive again when you're sitting in a place like Pitch 25 and sipping on a whiskey and just recounting those beautiful memories before perhaps any injury happened. And you're thinking, oh, wow, 20, 30 years ago and this and that. It does bring people together. And that is one of the true magical moments of music. Now, what inspired you to say, you know what, pretty good at this. I want to go perform in front of a live audience?
That's a good question. One I quite haven't figured out myself yet. But you know, it's so I was through the midst of all this spiral of progressively worsened illnesses. I was taking a medication called Haldol, and I was just absolutely out of my mind. And so they were prescribing pain pills and stuff. And for some reason, I got it in my mind that these pain pills are going to poison me. So I would stash them. I would stash them and stash them. And then I looked up how to dispose of them. It's like, well, you got to take them to the police. I'm like, oh, the police are going to wonder, why do you have all these pills? And it's like, well, they're prescribed to you, Tucker. It's not. But I was just out of my mind. So I started, after I got off of Haldol, and then I had all these pills. I started abusing the pills. And December of 2018, I decided to try to overdose because I was just tired of being a burden to everyone in my life. Of course, no one ever presented it as that much, but you know, when you go from taking care of all your family's needs to not even being able to change your clothes anymore, you just start to think, man, there's just no point in any of this. And so luckily I got the help I needed. And I was just like, there's just no point in life. I mean, of course, my amazing wife and daughters, but all I could feel was like, I'm a burden because there's nothing I can do anymore. So my friend invited me to Old Quarter in Galveston to listen to an artist named Travis Meadows. And he lost his leg to cancer at a young age and struggled through addiction. And so he was in a therapy session, and his therapist said, "Hey, you're a songwriter, aren't you? Why don't you start, keeping a diary, a journal?" He's like, I don't write journals." It's like, "Well, you're a songwriter, aren't you? Start speaking your mind and things about, what you're going through these lyrics." And so I remember standing up and walking over to Travis and shaking his hand. And I said, I'm not a religious person, but that day I said, "Travis, I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life." And I went home and I just started writing songs. And then, there's sometimes where you start going through this and thinking, man, I think other people need to hear this, not just these four walls. And so from there, I just decided Old Quarter was having their songwriter night. So I decided, well, I'll just go out there and play a few songs. And man, people loved it so much, and the traction just started building up. I was like, okay, you know what? This is something I can do to support my family. I can't do my old job anymore, but I can adapt to what's going on. And this is my new job now, so I'm doing this full time.
It's incredible how much we are the same. We're the same, but we're different.
Right.
I'm doing
so parallels.
My new job. I loved my old job. I was a contractor. I operated equipment. I built custom landscapes. Now I'm doing this. It's like,
oh, beautiful.
It's like our lives. It's just so crazy. Of course, it's not the same exact thing, but a lot of the same results.
Yeah, a lot of parallels between. What we both experienced.
It's just insane. I mean, you're sitting here talking. I'm like, man, he could be telling my story right now. It's crazy. So do you think that one day when your friend invited you out to Galveston, that was a turning point in your life?
Absolutely. And, I have Rex Bell and Janet. who started that, and if they didn't put their time and energy into that place. Now Joel and his wife are doing a terrific, just amazing job running it. But if that stage wasn't there, if Travis Meadows didn't come out to sing, man, I don't know where I'd be, honestly. I really don't. Oh, we're muted.
Life is wild like that, man.
Yeah.
You just don't never know what you're going to get or what's going to happen. And, that's why they say, hey, man, just one day at a time. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You don't know, what's going to happen, because anything is possible, good or bad.
Yeah.
Or indifferent, So, that's awesome that you had a friend that says, hey, look, I'm going to take you out of the house. And we're going to go do something, and we're going to go do something that's going to help perhaps change your life for the better. And now looking back on it, you're out performing now in front of crowds, in Texas, and, singing for the old folks. And you even have this group in League City now, right? Is it like a folk singing group?
Yeah, so 2 years ago, my wife and I decided to start the League City Folk Association. Basically, the idea was we were getting with our my dad and stepmom live in the historic district of League City. So we got to start meeting their neighbors, and found out one of their neighbors is the president of the League City Historical Society. And man, we've lived here all of our lives, and I think there's a museum in League City. I was like, yeah. And I was like, holy smokes, man. And my wife remembered going there when she was in middle school, I believe. But then we found out it's all self-funded. And so the city they don't get a dime for that. And I was thinking, man, they got to pay for utilities and repairs and things. So I thought, well, you know what? What if we do like an old-fashioned song circle, like the 60s and 70s, just have it in front of the building, right? Maybe people can make donations if they want, or just bring some awareness of this amazing museum that we have down here. It's the West Bay Commons Schoolhouse, if anyone's interested, right off of 2nd in Kansas. So that started up, and said, well, we need a name for it, this event. So League City Folk Association, and man, it was really cool, because we did it right at the Ice House out there, and we had about maybe 8 singers come out and 20 or 30 people come to listen. And now we have about 15, sometimes 20 artists come out, and the crowd has grown. I think we had probably 400 people out there this last Friday. But it's family friendly. It's free, acoustic music. All genres are welcome as long as it's family friendly and acoustic. But we don't make a dime off of this. We do it strictly for our community, for the love of song and story. And I mean, just incredible audience. I mean, they've taken it upon themselves to turn it into an outdoor listening room, which is unheard of. I mean, you have 400 people out there quiet and focused and listening to what these artists are bringing to share. And it's incredible, because, as musicians, sometimes you're just background noise, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, you just got to fit what the venue needs. Sometimes people are engaged, but when you have that many people who are quiet and listening to these original songs, these cover songs, it's such a tremendous blessing to see these people who are coming out and forming new friendships and going out, and you hear, hey, we met out here. Now we do stuff as a family with these 2 families. And, people are coming out monthly. And we have a picking circle now. So I believe it's members of the Bay Area Bluegrass Association come out about an hour before. So it starts, the show's on the last Friday of every month from 7 to 10. From 6 to 10, we have this picking circle, and sometimes I think there's about 8 or 9 people out there, all just picking and singing along. Man, it's just so beautiful. And I was born in the 80s, but just the 60s and 70s, man, that singer-songwriter field, that's just that welcomed environment. Everyone's welcome. Everyone come on in. And it's just really cool to start something up like that again.
Now, folks, you got to go check out Tucker. You can go to tuckerhart.com, okay? And you can get all of his music is on all of the platforms, including Spotify and YouTube's. Just type in Tucker Hart, H-A-R-T, Tucker Hart, T-U-C-K-E-R, Hart, H-A-R-T, and see for yourself. And you will find that this man brings it strong, and he is an amazing singer-songwriter. Now, when you began journaling, how many songs did you actually end up writing that were fully original and written by you that you now sing because of your one friend, Travis Meadows, when he told you to start journaling?
So I've written 86 songs. And I started writing really 2020 is really when I started going from 2020 to now, 86 songs. And, you know, sometimes you just got to cull through all of them because not all of them are going to, you know, there may be 3% out of that they're worth investing and putting. And, you know, the other songs, you just kind of, I call it marinating, right? You have all the lyrics, you have the chords, what you want to bring about the song. Sometimes you just need to marinate it, put it in the back in a bag in the refrigerator, right? Just leave it for a while, let it soak, and maybe when you pull it out, you know, the flavors are a little bit better and have some more meanings. So some of these songs might be coming out at another point, but for right now, it's just it's great timeline markers for where I was and what I was going through that time.
When you sit down and write what you would say a perfect song, stuff is just, man, it's just, you know, I don't know if you get woken up in the middle of the night or if you just sit down and all of a sudden you're like, I just wrote a song. How long would that typically take you to write one of those songs that you're like, this just went flawlessly?
About 5 minutes. And well, and that's nothing on me or my abilities. I'm not a songwriter, strangely enough. I think of myself more as a conduit. And because I'll just have a song downloaded to me and just all the chords, all the lyrics, and I just start recording and writing things down. I don't even know what the song's about till it's finished. And I go back through and like, okay, well, that's amazing. That's what that song is about. You know, through millennia, we have this idea of the muse, right? Of this ethereal construct that's kind of inspiring people, whatever type of medium, if it's painting or poetry or dance or sculpting, right? Just this otherworldly group of ideas that just kind of bring things to you that you wouldn't normally have the power within yourself. And so that's how I really feel these songs. They're stories of love and loss, and people are like, man, I can't believe you experienced that. Well, I didn't. I just wrote it all down. And you know, I actually have a song, strangely enough, that John Prine gave to me in a dream, which hasn't been recorded yet. But I woke up and the whole dream was just me in this club with John Prine on stage and just me trying to get up and him giving me this song. And I woke up and ran to the garage, which is the makeshift recording studio, about 3 o'clock in the morning, when you need to get some stuff out. And so I was writing stuff like wigwam and wampanoag, and I had no idea what these were meaning, let alone how to spell them correctly. But the song is it's called Memories of Yesterday. And it's about the rights, land, the freedom and religion of the First Nations people being stripped away. And the song's, I guess, mainly about the Wampanoag tribe. And the wigwam is a traditional dwelling place of these First Nations people. I had no clue about any of that. And it's from the area where John Prine used to live. And so it's just these incredible things that just get, downloaded. I don't have another way of putting it. I write it all out. And, I hear these amazing songwriters talking about the craft of songwriting. And anytime I try to write a song, I don't get anywhere with it. But if I'm just open and receptive and I'll hear, hey, go pick up your guitar, I pick it up and all of it comes out.
All my best ideas come at 2 a.m.
Yeah, right.
Not 201, not 159.
Yeah.
It's 2. It's like my body clock is like, that's when, and I keep a pad and a pen right on my nightstand. And I've learned how to write blindly. I don't even open my eyes and try to see it. I just close my eyes and I write it down. And I've gotten to write good enough to where I can understand what I'm writing the next morning. And I'm like, wow, damn, that's a good idea.
That's awesome.
But that's, our minds operate. So it sounds like that you operate a lot off of energy. I mean, really?
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's I think truly anyone can be an amazing songwriter. I mean, anyone can. And it's not about talent, because I don't have a talent for songwriting, but what I do have is a talent for listening. And I think that's really where it comes into play. It's because I'm open and receptive and I'm listening, and I like to observe what's going on wherever I'm at, and try to think about things through other people's perspective. I mean, literally, if you see someone that's going through some really tough times, imagine what it's like looking through their eyes, through their circumstances, what they're going through, and what you can learn from that, and how you can be more receptive, open, and kind to people who you don't know, and just not be so quick to judge.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that you brought up is that you're a conduit. You were in a dream. John Prine was talking directly to you about things you did not know. You got up and you wrote a song about this spiritual energy.
Yeah.
And that right there is amazing. So you're sending a message to folks through some PVC for the whole world to hear and to enjoy. And, that says a lot about your character. And I know you were a very genuine and sincere man, but, to be receptive, to be kind, to be open, to learn from others, to learn from different points of view. How can I be a better person? Am I seeing this right? Not so quick to judge. I know we're living in a crazy world right now, and there's a lot of, insanity going on out there. And, it's hard to not be in the middle of it. It's hard not to deal with political stuff when it's all, in your face every single day.
Right.
And that's why I think now more than ever, music is important, because it brings people together.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't matter if you're left, if you're right, if you're this, that, what, I don't even know up from down anymore. But if you leave it at the door and you come in and you grab a drink or whatever it may be, a couple of appetizers, everybody that's sitting in there listening to you, they all have a commonality. They're fans.
True. That's true.
So now we can sit down at the same table and agree that Tucker Hart's freaking awesome, man.
Well, thanks.
When those same people are going at each other's necks on social media, they hate each other.
Yeah. Well, those 3 hours I'm playing, if that can just bring some calm to that storm, man, it's all about that. My earbud fell out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, totally. And that is the great thing about music right now. Again, now more than ever, I think our country needs that, that reset, and that reset, is going out, and it's supporting local artists, like yourself. Now, I want to go back to your disability, because I know it's not easy to perform on stage, having what you have, not only cognitively, but physically. How have you kind of pushed through that and have managed that? Because I know you sit on a stool. You're not all about the light. You remind me of the old school George Strait in Pure Country. I ain't about the lights. I'm not about this. I just want a stool, and I just want my guitar, and I just want to sing, right? Until it got all big, and then all the lights came. But like, hey, I just want to come up and I just want to sit on my stool. But you don't need the light. I mean, your voice, when you said, I'm background noise. And so people over here, they're all hanging out. They got a live guy over here, and all of a sudden you sing, and they're like,
yeah, I love that.
so you're a head turner.
Well,
For people that don't know you, you're definitely a head turner. Like, whoa, this dude is good.
Well, thank you.
And I'm not saying that. Yeah, that's why you're on this show, man, because you are incredible. But what have you done to better yourself when you're on that stage, living in pain and going through these cognitive type? I mean, is there any like, oh my God, I can't screw this up, or I'm going to fall, or I'm not feeling well? Like, how do you push through that mental pain, really?
Well, I had to come to a point where I forgave myself. When I first started, everything had to be perfect to the line, to the T. If I screwed up a chord, the whole night was off. And as I've been playing more and understanding and developing myself more as a musician, hey, you know what, man? If something comes up and I can't, like I was trying to do a chord one night and I couldn't open my hands, and it was just like a domino. This whole song, I said, you know what, folks? Hey, let's do another song. And so you just move on, and if that other song will work out at some point, hey, man, jump into it. But I think the biggest thing is just making yourself go out there, and it's just been incredible. Of course, there's some times where my legs won't function, and so, but I really take the Willie Nelson attitude of just, hey, keep them dancing. So you just keep playing the songs. People are bobbing their heads, dancing, laughing, and smiling, singing along. Hey, you're doing a good job. So sometimes you don't need to internalize it so much, and just look at the audience. If they're digging what you're doing, hey, it's good, man. Keep going.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever kind of communicate with your audience a little bit more? Maybe tell them a little bit about you on who you are and why you have a walker and why you have a cane, and perhaps why you can't open your hands sometimes, to kind of have that emotional connection?
Yeah, I do. I try to keep it short because, I realize the audience is there for a good time, and they got enough of their problems going on in their life. And so, yeah, if something happens, I'll kind of address it quickly, but then just move on back to the music. And then if someone wants to, if I do like a private show or a little more intimate gathering, then I'll talk about more. But when I'm at my live shows, I'll talk about the songs and how they came about. And but when it comes to anything personally, what I'm going on, I realize that these people are here, these patrons at whatever place I'm playing. They just want to have a good time, man. They've had a stressful week. They've had so much going on in their life, and so I just try to keep it short in that nature. I mean, it is important that people understand what's going on and the issues I'm facing. But I realize as a musician, I'm really there for the audience and for the venue, and just to help them have an hour or 3 hours of a good experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and and the reason why I bring that up is because people like to know that they're not alone out there.
True.
That they're not suffering, and a lot of those folks out there are suffering in silence.
Yeah.
Kind of like how you and I did, and the only people that knew was our family, because we shut everybody else off.
Yeah.
And so to be that guy in that crowd who thinks his life is perfect, knowing, man, this Tucker guy he spoke directly to me in between sets, like, wow, he's like me, or, he's going through something similar, like me, that I don't really talk about. So it's kind of, it makes people, like, it really humanizes, you and others as well. And I know, and of course they're in there for a good time and stuff like that too. But really at the end of the day, life is life, and it hits anywhere, at any time. And, I think that's an important message to get out, to everybody, out there.
Yeah.
So what's next? So what's next for Tucker Hart?
Well, yeah, I'm putting a band together, and
whoa! Now here comes the lights, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I'd rather those lights be on those band members than myself. I've never been one to be in front of people, and it's an odd feeling, because I'm more of those people that I like to be back in the corner, just kind of observing at parties and stuff, and not really part of it. So. I mean, quite honestly, like, I'd rather sit behind the drum kit and have the full band up there, and because it's I'd rather have people's attention on them, because I've always had these ideas of what the leader of a band and how important they are, but you know what, man, they're not. Because if they didn't have those other people with them on stage, it'd be just another dude singing. And so it's all those people who are, giving their life and their time at that moment to be there helping you get your music out. And those are the biggest members of the band now that I've come to understand that.
You are so easy to support, folks. And if you don't believe me, go to Spotify right now. Go to iTunes. Go anywhere you get your music downloaded or listen, and just type in Tucker Hart. I'm challenging you. I'm encouraging you. Tucker Hart, TuckerHart, and listen to a couple of his songs, and you will fall in love with his genre and what he sings about, and how he sounds and how he delivers himself. But more better than that is that you're supporting this amazingly great human being. And when I say that, I mean that. I had a very good connection with Tucker, and I can usually tell if somebody is a really good person or if they're not. And he is one of those guys that's truly amazing, truly, again, genuine, sincere. And I'm going to use the same words he used: receptive and open and kind. And that's what Tucker Hart is. And so when you're listening to his music, you're not just supporting him in his, in his mission, but you're also, supporting local musicians, and you're supporting, local townships and getting folk out there more. And, all these other, storytellers and all these other singer-songwriters out there that are trying to advance their careers and, make a living doing it. And, Tucker's one of those guys. You had to start over. You didn't go back to work. You didn't go back to that same job. You've been rebuilding and recreating and reinventing yourself over these years. And we have progressive type injuries that just continue to get a little worse and worse and worse every single year. So you got to work through that. So you're putting a band together now. Are you going to be doing a lot more performing across the state? Are you guys thinking about maybe going out of state? What's this going to look like, Tucker?
Well, thank you so much, Brian, for your kind words, man. And I just want to thank you for having me on and for seeing that there was something that I was doing that was worth sharing. So that means so much to me. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, you're a great guy. I mean, well, sincerely. It's, you don't come across a lot of folks like you anymore. And I'm not blowing smoke here. You came in, you did sit in the corner. I was keeping an eye on you. I was like, man, he came in a walker. I don't know if that's going to be the next singer. And then you couldn't barely walk. And then you had that one-arm cane. And I'm like, a man of adversity, a man of perseverance, a man of resilience. And then he gets up there and he's sitting in a stool that you could easily fall out of. And then you open your mouth and it was like, everybody was like, whoa, where'd Johnny Cash just come from?
Well, thank you so very much. My voice is another weird thing that happened because of this illness.
Kidding.
Yeah. The voice I have now is different than what it was. And I guess it was around 2019. I underwent 23 medical procedures called a functional cranial release. And so one of the proposed ideas of what this can do is it can help your spinal cord and your brain, the channels open up better. So they take medical grade balloons and put them up into your sinuses and inflate them. And so you have these medical grade balloons inflating inside of your skull, right? And I was nosebleeds, ear bleeds, changes in my teeth, shape of my face. And But what I didn't know is when these balloons were inflating, it was opening up these sinuses, right? So my voice started going deeper and deeper and deeper. And so I was like, man, I sound different. I look different. And I was just really getting into myself about, like, because I would just sing around the house. But man, it was like I was going through a puberty again. My voice was cracking and my voice was getting weird. And so I really have Joy Williams. She has a beautiful song called Canary. And so Joy Williams is the one I have to credit for the voice I have now, because I said, you know what? I got to find out what I sound like now with my singing voice. And if I listen to a guy, maybe I'll start sounding more like this or that person. So I think, you know what? I'll just start singing harmony with one of my favorite artists. So I just started listening to her music and singing along. And man, it really kicked in. I was like, oh, that voice kind of sounds a little familiar. And it was during that time when my voice was all changing. I was like, you know what? I'll record my first album. So, so yeah, I recorded that first album, Light a Candle, and the music I have now, even my voice sounds different now than it did on that first album. But I think it's finally come around. So, yeah, man, it's just if I didn't have those procedures done, my voice wouldn't be like it is now. So it's just these things that are all lining up with, you can see just multiple issues of bad things arising, but behind it, what I didn't understand was all these blessings that were lining themselves back up again. And so, yeah, that's really this disease and this genetic stuff. And as horrible as all this since 2011 has been, man, it's like for the first time I'm really living again. And so and if I wouldn't be the place that I'm at right now if those bad things didn't happen.
God threw you a lemon and you made fresh lemonade.
That's it.
It's so crazy because, yours was 2011, mine's 2016. Literally 3 days ago, I told somebody I'm living again.
Wow.
And, that's happened over the last year. Even when I didn't think I would, even when I thought I was starting to live again, mm-hmm. I don't think I was. I think I was a little too scared to come back out of that comfort zone again. But,
I understand that.
But now I am. I'm traveling more. I'm starting to reconnect with old friends that, I turned off and turned away because, again, the burden, man. I mean, I was with you 100%. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you my book.
Oh, far out. Thank you.
I wrote a book on my story. So when we wrap up here, I want you to stand by and I want to get your address. I want to send you a book because you're going to read this. It's a very short read. And you're going to see so much of yourself and your family in this book. And it sounds like the one thing that remained a constant for us both is our family.
Absolutely.
Our families never left. And I make that a major part in my story that, I had always had my family's back. I was their number one fan. I was their number one provider. But when I went down, they stepped up.
Man, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Man.
And that right there is worth everything. I mean, that's everything.
Yeah.
I mean, without my family, I wouldn't be here today. And we're both lucky men because when a lot of guys or gals go through a lot of these life challenges and these obstacles that take years and years to get through, they leave. I mean, I've heard that so many times. You know how lucky you are, Brian, that Jenny stayed and that you kept your family together? That's so hard to do when somebody's going through a lot of medical challenges and like mental and emotional, issues and problems, because it all just comes raining down. And being the men we were, the providers that we were, you know how much of a hit that takes to our pride? It's like, am I even worthy?
Yeah. And man, I'm right with you, man. It would have been a lot easier on my wife, and I would have understood it. I mean, she had to feed me and change me, pick me up and put me in a wheelchair, and sit with me for 26 hours at Ben Taub, and going through addiction and kicking pills, and then getting addicted to whiskey. And January 21st, I'm now 2 years sober. But man, it's just like, thank you. It's just one thing after another. And then they, in my experience during those times, it's like they really have to become a single parent. Even though I was there mentally, I wasn't because of everything else that was going on. But man, my wife she has an amazing story because she started a cleaning company during that time, and now it's called it's a Hello Sunshine commercial cleaning company, and she's now built this business of commercial cleans, and I mean I'm just amazed by her every single day, man. Just I wake up and I'm going through things, and she's just my ray of sunshine. So I'm right with you, dude. It's without these incredible women in our life, man, and the support of our children, I wouldn't be here. I can guarantee I would.
Amen, brother. Man, we got to connect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd love to meet your wife and your family and
yours too. Yeah.
And like I said, I'm going to send you this book. Of course, being a Marine veteran, I'm a picture guy and I write in crayon, so it'll be a really quick read for you that I think will really connect with you, awesome. But it may even connect more with your wife.
Thank you so much, man. I so greatly appreciate that. I look forward to reading it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else that you want to speak directly to the audience today on? Perhaps if someone's going through some hard times or going through some struggles or going through some life challenges, what type of advice or encouragement could Tucker Hart add to our audience today?
I will say, especially in regards to addiction, go out there and get a support group. Don't try to attempt to tackle it on your own, because it's just going to be wave after wave of, you think you're reaching that shore, then you get a riptide back out there. And don't beat yourself up, though. When you have those setbacks, as long as you continue to go forward with it, keep just going forward, and it will click in. But get the help that you need. Any sort of mental problems or addiction, there are resources for it, even free resources. But take those first steps and go out, and the strength that's required to ask for help is immense. So please do not think that asking for help is weakness in any way. I thought that for many years, that I was being weak if I went out there and asked for help. But it wasn't until I asked for help that I actually was able to change the things in my life and change the direction it was going.
Yes, it's actually strength. It's a lot of courage, to make yourself vulnerable, put yourself out there and let people, hey, look, I may look like I'm doing all right, but I'm not, man, and I'm struggling, and, what can I do to get some help? And, you never really know the resources that are out there that people can use, or, it works for some, it doesn't for others. What may work for a Billy may not work for a Tom, but at the end of the day, Billy and Tom can still get the help that they need from two different points of view, and they can both begin to live again, and,
absolutely
pick up the pieces and, make the most out of their life, as we only have one and it goes by really quickly. So enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much again for having me out on your podcast. I've been listening to your podcast since we met, man. It's a blessing to be part of it. Thank you so much. You got an amazing thing going on.
I sincerely appreciate that, Tucker. I really do. Your episode, 227? I started this 17 months ago.
Wow. Holy smokes.
So, I'm obsessed.
Wow. That's amazing. Well,
all right. Stand by here one second. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap this up, folks. Thank you so much for joining us again today, Tucker. We sincerely appreciate everything that you've added today. You've added so much life value, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to be connecting with you. And folks, don't forget to go support our good friend Tucker Hart at tuckerhart.com. That's tuckerhart.com. He can be found on Spotify, iTunes, or anywhere you get your music online. Just search Tucker Hart, H-A-R-T, and he is a mix between Johnny Cash and John Prine. So you will definitely appreciate and enjoy it. Folks, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. It has never been easier to listen to this podcast. We are on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TikTok, and X. And yes, people are like, you're on TikTok? Yeah, I started a TikTok, and I like it. It's fun. I get to be me and put some stuff out there, you know, my little 1 minute, 2 minute spicy stuff. It's a little bit different than the podcast here, but nonetheless, I really enjoy it. I think you will too. So go check it out. Also, learn more about me and my personal story, and perhaps even get my new book at briantalley.com. That's briantalley.com. And this is the same book my good friend Tucker Hart is going to get delivered to him. I'm going to put it in the mail today, and he will absolutely enjoy it. I know he will, and his family will as well. Folks, remember to stay inspired, stay encouraged, stay motivated, and always stay in the fight. Until next time, for the Today with Tally podcast, this is Brian Talley. Good night. Semper Fi. God bless.
This is the Today with Tally podcast.